let's talk about a featherweight scrap as Gaston Bolanos comes in at plus 330. He goes up against Michael Aswell Jr., who comes in at minus 400. Now, Bolanos has not really developed all that well in the UFC so far. He's 2-2 with the promotion. The last time out, he got absolutely out-grappled and outworked by Kwang Lee. And Lee did a great job in terms of not, dicking about. This guy got to the grappling right away in the first round, and then he eventually got back to it in the second round and found that submission to put Bolanos away. Bolanos, this Peruvian fighter, is a very solid and flashy striker. He throws good volume with his punches, solid kicks as well, and pretty methodical with how he approaches a lot of his striking exchanges. But it seems like he's struggling with guys that are either more athletically gifted than him or are a little bit more methodical with their own striking approach, a little bit more basic with their approach. And unfortunately for Bolanos, he might be facing exactly that this weekend. We've seen some decent things out of Bolanos, right? The Cortavius Romeus fight was impressive considering that every round Bolanos got taken down almost immediately, but within a minute or two, he was able to find a reversal and then grind out Romeus for the rest of that round, allowing Bolanos to win the decision that night. So, he's kind of been hit and miss so far. Again, batting 500 in the UFC through his 4 fights, but he has a very tough matchup this weekend as he looks to go out against Michael Aswell Jr., who is coming off of a loss to Luke Riley from back in March. Now, it feels like just the other week that everybody was screaming from the rooftops that Aswell Jr. was going to style on Luke Riley, but I think he found out pretty quickly that he was going to have a very big mountain to overcome as a plus 250 underdog. We saw Aswell Jr. struggle with the speed and the I believe it's the Muay Thai kickboxing game of Riley, and Riley ended up outstriking him 100-61 and swept him on the scorecards as Aswell Jr. really struggled to get into the pocket and get off on his own striking. Now, I'm a fan of Aswell, right? The guy's 25 years old. We've seen some good things from him. Obviously, we haven't seen him be all that successful in the UFC so far. He's 1-2 in the UFC. Also came up short on the Contender series a few seasons back against Bogdan Grad, and he's a guy that, and anytime I break him down, I try not to say this as an insult or try to be offensive to the guy, but he's very basic with his striking, and it's worked out for him very well on the regional scene, right? He sticks behind a jab, he sticks the cross behind it. When he sees the openings for hooks or uppercuts, he tries to sprinkle those in, but it's been his lack of power that has really not allowed him to get the respect of his opponents, and guys that can kind of just smash through that power with their own power, can smash through the lack of power from Aswell and land with their own power. That's where Aswell Jr. starts to struggle a little bit. And I know he has that lone win in the UFC, which was a knockout over Lucas Almeida, but we all remember that Almeida seemed to come into that fight somewhat compromised, and he kind of seemed to look for the door almost immediately, and Aswell took full advantage of it and did exactly what he was supposed to do in that situation. But I want to see him trust his power a little bit more. I want to see him try to crack with a little bit more power, a little bit more bad intention, rather than just looking to bust opponents up with the jab and the cross down the pipe. Look for those finishing sequences to really make an impact on the judges, especially if fights end up going to the scorecards, right? Otherwise, he would have gotten that win over Bogdan Grad. He would have been able to pull away against Balaji Oki, which I'm willing to give him a pass in, considering that was a short notice fight up a weight class against a very big Balaji Oki, and he had some solid success in the first round of that fight, but couldn't maintain it going into the second and thirds. But he's a fun fighter. He's a fun striker. Rep in Texas, but this should be not a must-win fight for him, but this fight against Bolanos should be a fight that he should win, right? He's minus 400 for a reason. I believe his basic striking approach is going to be able to nullify the flashy striking approach of Bolanos, but I don't know if he's going to look minus 400. I get why he's minus 400. Not a lot of people are big on Bolanos, but I think that people might be overvaluing Aswell a little bit here. What I'm going to be looking to hone in on more is the decision prop for Aswell, or even the over here. I think this will be a competitive and fun striking battle with Aswell Jr. getting more minutes, probably landing a little bit more output, a little bit more volume. I do have a few question marks about Bolanos' durability, but again, I don't believe all that much in Aswell Jr.'s knockout power. So I think Bolanos should be able to eat some of these shots and still start firing back with his own. But I think it's going to be Aswell Jr. that ends up landing more significant significant damage, busting up Bolanos, and then winning this fight on the scorecards. I think twice about the chalk personally, but if you look at the props, there are some playable spots there where you can get more bang for your buck. But in terms of my official prediction, I am going to go Michael Aswell Jr. by decision.